The Last Stand, Earth's Fall and Humanity's Desperate Escape. The skies over New York City blazed an angry red as the alien armada descended upon Earth. Captain Sarah Chen stood atop the ruins of the Empire State Building, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the last remnants of humanity's defenses crumbled against the invaders' onslaught. The acrid smell of smoke and ozone filled her lungs, a constant reminder of the devastation that had befallen her world in mere days. "Captain, we've lost contact with the European Command," her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jack Morrison, reported grimly. "Asia and Africa went dark hours ago. We're all that's left." Sarah's grip tightened on her pulse rifle, her knuckles white beneath her combat gloves. "What about Project Exodus?" she asked, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Jack's eyes flickered with a glimmer of hope. "Dr. Emerson reports they're ready for launch. They're just waiting for our signal." Sarah nodded, a small smile tugging at the corner of her lips. "Then let's give them one hell of a distraction." As if on cue, the ground shook beneath their feet as another volley of alien energy weapons struck nearby. The remaining skyscrapers groaned under the assault, their once proud silhouettes now jagged and broken against the blood-red sky. "All units, this is Captain Chen," Sarah barked into her comm unit. "Initiate Operation Last Stand. I repeat, initiate Operation Last Stand." Across the ravaged cityscape, the last pockets of human resistance sprang into action. Makeshift missile launchers erupted from hidden bunkers, sending streaks of light into the sky. Experimental EMP devices activated, temporarily disabling swaths of alien drones. And in the harbor, the remnants of the US Navy unleashed a barrage of nuclear torpedoes against the alien motherships. Sarah and her team raced through the crumbling streets, drawing enemy fire away from the secret launch site where humanity's last hope waited. Project Exodus, a fleet of advanced starships designed to carry Earth's survivors to a new home among the stars. As they ran, Sarah's mind flashed back to the day the invasion began. It had started with a series of strange signals detected by radio telescopes around the world. Within hours, the first alien ships appeared in orbit. There were no demands, no attempts at communication, only destruction. Earth's militaries had united against the common threat, but their weapons proved ineffective against the invaders' advanced technology. Cities fell, governments collapsed, and now, barely a week later, humanity teetered on the brink of extinction. But they weren't going down without a fight. "Captain, look out." Jack's warning came just in time as Sarah dove behind a burned-out car, narrowly avoiding a blast from an alien shock trooper. The creature's insectoid face clicked and chittered as it advanced, its multiple eyes scanning for targets. Sarah popped up from cover, her pulse rifle spitting concentrated bursts of energy. The alien's exoskeleton cracked under the barrage, and it collapsed in a heap of twitching limbs. "Nice shot," Jack grinned, taking out another trooper with his sidearm. "Save the compliments for when they're off this rock," Sarah replied, though she couldn't help but return his smile. In the face of annihilation, these small moments of camaraderie were all they had left. They pressed on, fighting their way through waves of alien forces. Sarah's team dwindled as they took casualties, each lost a knife in her heart. But she pushed forward, driven by the knowledge that their sacrifice would give the rest of humanity a chance at survival. Finally, they reached their destination, a nondescript warehouse that concealed the entrance to the underground launch facility. Dr. Allison Emerson, the brilliant mind behind Project Exodus, greeted them at the reinforced doors. "Captain Chen, thank God you made it," the scientist said, her eyes wide with a mixture of relief and fear. "We're ready to launch, but the alien ships are still too close. We need more time." Sarah nodded grimly. "That's why we're here, Doc. How long do you need?" 20 minutes to clear the atmosphere and engage the FTL drives," Allison replied. "You've got 10, Sarah said, checking her weapon. "Make it count." As Allison hurried back inside to make the final preparations, Sarah turned to what remained of her team. A dozen weary faces looked back at her, determination etched into every line and scar. "This is it, people," she said, her voice carrying over the distant sounds of battle. "Everything we've fought for comes down to the next 10 minutes. We hold this position no matter what. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone we've lost." A chorus of affirmations met her words as the soldiers took up defensive positions around the warehouse. Sarah allowed herself a moment to feel the weight of command, the responsibility for these lives and for the future of their species. Then she pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. The aliens came in waves, their forces seemingly endless. Sarah and her team fought with everything they had, their weapons never falling silent. They used every trick and tactic they'd learned over the past hellish week, turning the rubble-strewn streets into a killing ground. But it wasn't enough. One by one, Sarah watched her comrades fall. Jack took a blast to the chest that left a smoking hole where his heart should have been. Private Rodriguez was torn apart by a swarm of alien drones. Sergeant Williams sacrificed herself to take out an enemy tank, detonating a backpack full of explosives as she charged into its path. As the 10-minute mark approached, Sarah found herself alone, surrounded by the bodies of friends and foes alike. Her armor was cracked, her left arm hung useless at her side, and blood trickled from a gash above her eye. But still, she fought on. "Come on, you bastards," she screamed, her voice raw with pain and defiance. "Is this all you've got?" The ground shook, and for a moment, Sarah feared the aliens had brought in heavier weapons. But then she saw it, the warehouse roof splitting open to reveal the sleek form of the Exodus Prime, humanity's ark to the stars. A wave of emotions washed over Sarah as she watched the massive ship rise into the air. Pride at what they had accomplished, hope for the future, and a deep aching sadness for everything and everyone left behind. As the Exodus Prime climbed higher, the alien ships in orbit turned their attention to this new threat. Energy beams lanced out, trying to swat the human vessel from the sky. But the ship's shields held, deflecting the attacks as it accelerated towards the stars. Sarah's comm crackled to life, and Dr. Emerson's voice came through, tinged with static. "Captain Chen, if you can hear this, thank you. Your sacrifice has given us a chance. We'll never forget what you and your team have done for humanity." A sad smile played across Sarah's lips as she watched the Exodus Prime become a distant point of light in the angry red sky. "Good luck, Doc," she whispered. "Make it count." With renewed determination, Sarah turned to face the approaching alien horde. She knew she wouldn't survive, but every second she kept fighting was another second for the Exodus Prime to escape. As she raised her weapon for one last stand, Sarah Chen thought of all those who had fallen, of the world they had lost, and of the hope that now sped towards the stars. And in that moment, facing impossible odds, she felt no fear, only a fierce pride in humanity's resilience and determination. The aliens surrounded her, their weapons charged and ready. Sarah grinned, a predatory gleam in her eyes. "All right, you ugly sons of bitches," she growled. "Let's dance." She squeezed the trigger, and the world erupted in fire and light. Aboard the Exodus Prime, Dr. Allison Emerson watched through tear-filled eyes as the last defender of Earth was engulfed in a massive explosion. The ship's sensors registered a surge of energy that took out a significant portion of the alien ground forces. "Godspeed, Captain Chen," Allison murmured, her hand pressed against the viewscreen. Then she turned to the anxious faces of the crew and the thousands of cryo-sleeping colonists. "Prepare for FTL jump. Let's find our new home." As Earth receded behind them, growing smaller until it was just another blue marble in the vastness of space, the Exodus Prime's engines flared to life. In a burst of light and energy, the ship vanished, carrying with it the last hope of humanity and the indomitable spirit of those left behind. The journey to the stars had begun, but the greatest challenges still lay ahead. Humanity would face trials and tribulations unlike anything they had ever known, but they would face them together, armed with the lessons of Earth's fall and the burning desire to not just survive, but to thrive among the stars. And somewhere out there, in the infinite expanse of the cosmos, a new chapter in human history waited to be written. Certainly. I'll continue with part 2 of the story. Part 2, A New Home, Colonizing an Alien World and Unexpected Challenges. The Exodus Prime emerged from its final FTL jump with a shudder that reverberated through its hull. On the bridge, Dr. Allison Emerson gripped her console, her heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and dread. After 5 long years of interstellar travel, they had finally reached their destination, a potentially habitable planet in the Goldilocks zone of a distant star system. Status report, Allison called out, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the air. Lieutenant Maya Patel, their chief navigator, responded first. FTL drive is offline, Dr. Emerson. We've arrived at the coordinates as planned. Life support systems stable, added Dr. Chen Wei, head of environmental control. No detectable damage from the long-term voyage. Allison nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Excellent. Bring up the forward view screen. Let's see our new home. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a breathtaking sight. A planet hung before them, swirling with blues, greens, and whites, eerily reminiscent of Earth, yet alien in its own right. 2 small moons orbited the world, casting shifting shadows across its surface. A collective gasp went up from the bridge crew. After years of staring at the cold emptiness of space, the sight of a vibrant, living world was almost overwhelming. It's beautiful, Maya whispered, voicing the thoughts of everyone present. Allison couldn't help but agree, but she quickly refocused on the task at hand. Begin full planetary scan. I want atmospheric composition, gravity readings, and detailed surface maps. We need to know what we're dealing with before we even think about landing. As the crew bustled into action, Allison's mind wandered to the thousands of colonists still in cryosleep, unaware that their journey was nearing its end. Among them were scientists, engineers, farmers, and families, all that remained of humanity's legacy. The weight of their futures pressed heavily on her shoulders. Hours passed as the Exodus Prime orbited the planet, its advanced sensors probing every aspect of the alien world. Finally, Chen Wei approached Allison with a datapad in hand, his expression a mixture of excitement and concern. Dr. Emerson, I have the preliminary results, he said, handing her the pad. The planet is remarkably Earth-like. Gravity is 1.1 g, atmospheric composition is within acceptable parameters for human life, and there's abundant liquid water on the surface. Allison scanned the data, her excitement growing. This is incredible, Chen. It's almost too good to be true. What's the catch? Chen's brow furrowed. That's just it. There are some anomalies in the bioscan readings. The planet shows signs of complex life, but it's like nothing we've ever seen before. The ecosystem appears to be in a constant state of flux, evolving at a rate that should be impossible. Allison frowned, her scientific curiosity piqued. Interesting. Any signs of intelligent life or technology? Nothing conclusive, Chen replied. But there are large structures on the surface that don't appear to be natural formations. We can't get clear readings on them from orbit. Allison nodded, her mind racing with possibilities and potential dangers. All right, it's time to wake the colonization team. We need boots on the ground to get a better understanding of what we're dealing with. Over the next few days, the Exodus Prime came alive as key personnel were brought out of cryosleep. The ship buzzed with activity as colonization plans were drafted and redrafted, equipment was checked and rechecked, and nervous excitement permeated every conversation. Finally, the day of the first landing arrived. Allison stood in the shuttle bay, addressing the exploration team, a mix of scientists, security personnel, and terraforming experts. You are about to set foot on an alien world, she said, her voice carrying across the assembled group. The first humans to walk on a planet beyond our solar system. The risks are enormous, but so are the potential rewards. Remember your training, watch each other's backs, and above all else, be cautious. We can't afford to lose anyone." The team nodded solemnly, their faces a mix of determination and barely contained excitement. As they boarded the shuttle, Allison caught the eye of Major David Reeves, the head of security. He gave her a reassuring nod, his hand resting on the pulse rifle at his side. Allison watched from the bridge as the shuttle descended through the planet's atmosphere, her heart in her throat. The comm crackled with the voice of Dr. Zara Khalil, the team's xenobiologist. "Exodus Prime, this is Pathfinder 1. We're through the upper atmosphere. Visibility is, my God, it's incredible." The shuttle's external cameras showed a landscape that was both familiar and utterly alien. Rolling hills covered in vegetation that shimmered with an iridescent quality, forests of towering structures that looked more like crystal than wood, and in the distance, the unmistakable glint of a vast ocean. "Pathfinder 1, you are clear for landing." Maya's voice came through, steady and professional. "Good luck down there." The shuttle touched down in a clearing near one of the crystal forests. For a moment, there was silence as the team performed final checks on their environmental suits. Then, with a hiss of equalizing pressure, a hatch opened. Major Reeves was the first to step out, his rifle at the ready as he scanned the area. "Perimeter secure," he reported. "Air readings are within safe parameters, but let's keep our helmets on for now." One by one, the team disembarked, their expressions of awe visible even through their visors. Dr. Khalil immediately began taking samples of the soil and nearby vegetation, her excitement palpable. "The plant life here, it's unlike anything we've ever seen," she reported, her voice filled with wonder. "The cellular structure is constantly changing, adapting in real time to its environment. It's as if the entire ecosystem is one interconnected organism." As the team spread out to conduct their surveys, a sense of optimism began to grow. The planet seemed not just habitable, but welcoming. Perhaps they dared to hope they had found a true second chance for humanity. But that hope was short-lived. It started with a tremor, so faint that at first they thought they had imagined it. Then another, stronger this time. The crystal trees began to resonate, emitting a haunting, harmonic sound that set everyone's teeth on edge. "What's happening?" Allison demanded from the ship, watching the seismic readings spike on her monitors. Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath the landing team's feet began to shift and writhe. What they had taken for solid earth suddenly liquefied, revealing itself to be a mass of intertwined, plant-like tendrils. "It's alive," Dr. Khalil shouted, stumbling backwards as the ground reached for her. "The whole planet, it's one massive organism." Chaos erupted as the team scrambled to regroup. The crystal trees uprooted themselves, revealing wickedly sharp points as they lunged at the intruders. The air filled with spores that began to eat through the protective suits. "Pathfinder 1, get out of there now," Allison ordered, her voice tight with fear. Major Reeves organized a fighting retreat, laying down suppressing fire with weapons that seemed to have little effect on the alien life forms. Dr. Khalil and another scientist were dragged into the writhing mass of tendrils, their screams cutting off abruptly. The surviving members of the team barely made it back to the shuttle, the hatch sealing behind them, just as a wave of the living Earth crashed against the hull. The pilot gunned the engines, fighting against tentacles that tried to drag them back down. From orbit, Allison and the bridge crew watched in horror as the shuttle streaked into the sky, pursued by projectiles launched from the crystal forests. The planet's surface roiled and churned, its true nature revealed as a vast, hostile entity. As the battered shuttle limped back to the Exodus Prime, the full weight of their situation settled over Allison. They had crossed the gulf between stars only to find a world that actively rejected them. With no way to return to Earth and limited supplies, their options were rapidly dwindling. But as she looked at the faces of her crew, tired, scared, but still determined, Allison knew that giving up wasn't an option. Humanity had come too far, sacrificed too much, to falter now. "Prepare a full debrief," she ordered, her voice firm. "We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with, and start scouting nearby systems. If this world won't have us, we'll find one that will." As the Exodus Prime moved away from the deceptively beautiful planet, Allison gazed out at the star-strewn expanse of space. Somewhere out there was a place where humanity could rebuild, could thrive. And no matter what it took, she was determined to find it. The search for a new home had suffered a setback, but it was far from over. In the face of this new challenge, humanity would adapt, persevere, and ultimately triumph. It was what they did best. And as the ship accelerated towards an uncertain future, the spirit of those left behind on Earth burned brighter than ever in the hearts of the survivors. They would not fail. They could not fail. The legacy of Earth and the future of humanity depended on it. First contact, encountering a mysterious alien species. The Exodus Prime drifted through the void, its hull bearing the scars of its encounter with the living planet. 3 months had passed since their hasty retreat, and the mood aboard the ship had grown increasingly tense. Resources were dwindling, and the nearby star systems had yielded no suitable candidates for colonization. Dr. Allison Emerson stood in the ship's hydroponics bay, surrounded by the lush greenery that provided both food and oxygen for the crew. It was here, among the remnants of Earth's flora, that she came to think and to hope. "Dr. Emerson to the bridge." Immediately, Lieutenant Maya Patel's voice crackled over the intercom, a note of urgency in her tone. Allison's heart raced as she hurried through the corridors. Had they found another potential home world? Or was it something worse? As the bridge doors slid open, Allison was met with a scene of controlled chaos. Crew members huddled around monitors, speaking in hushed, excited tones. "Report," Allison demanded, striding to the central command station. Maya turned to her, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and wonder. "We've detected an artificial structure, Doctor. It's massive." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing an enormous ring-shaped object floating serenely in space. It dwarfed the Exodus Prime, its surface covered in intricate patterns that pulsed with a soft, blue light. "Is it a ship?" Allison asked, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock. Dr. Chen Wei shook his head, poring over the sensor readings. "I don't think so. It's not moving, and there's no sign of propulsion systems. It appears to be a space station of some kind." "Any life signs?" "None that we can detect," Chen replied, "but the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever it is, it's active." Allison's mind raced with possibilities. This was clear evidence of an advanced alien civilization, the first they'd encountered in their journey. It could be a source of invaluable technology, or perhaps even a way to contact other species who might help them. But it could also be incredibly dangerous. "Maintain our distance," Allison ordered. "I want a full sensor sweep. Look for any signs of weapons or defensive systems, and try hailing it on all frequencies." Hours passed as the crew of the Exodus Prime studied the mysterious structure. They found no signs of hostility, but neither did they receive any response to their hails. The station remained silent, its pulsing lights a tantalizing invitation. Finally, Allison made her decision. "Prepare an away team. We need to get a closer look." Major David Reeves, who had survived the disastrous first landing, objected immediately. "With all due respect, Doctor, we have no idea what's waiting for us in there. It could be a trap." Allison met his gaze steadily. "I understand your concerns, Major, but we're running out of options. This station could hold the key to our survival. We have to take the risk." Reluctantly, Reeves nodded. "Then I'll lead the team myself." The away team, consisting of Reeves, Dr. Chen Wei, and 2 security officers, boarded a shuttle and approached the alien station. As they drew closer, a section of the ring's surface shimmered and parted, revealing an entrance. "It's inviting us in," Chen murmured, his voice filled with awe. The shuttle passed through the opening, entering a vast docking bay that seemed to stretch for miles. Crystalline structures lined the walls, pulsing with the same blue light they had observed from outside. As the team disembarked, their helmet lights illuminated a pristine, almost sterile environment. The air was breathable and gravity comparable to Earth's. "It's like it was designed for us," one of the security officers remarked. They made their way deeper into the station, passing through corridors that seemed to shift and realign as they walked. Holographic displays flickered to life around them, showing star charts and complex mathematical equations. "This is incredible," Chen said, trying to take in all the information. "The scientific knowledge contained here, it could advance our understanding by centuries." As they entered what appeared to be a central chamber, a soft hum filled the air. A holographic figure materialized before them, a tall, slender being with iridescent skin and large almond-shaped eyes. "Welcome, travelers," the being spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. "We have awaited your arrival for a very long time." The team stood in stunned silence, confronted with the first intelligent alien life they had ever encountered. Major Reeves was the first to find his voice. "Who? What are you?" The being's form shimmered slightly as if amused. "We are the architects. We seeded this galaxy with life eons ago, guiding its evolution. And now you have finally arrived, the children of Earth, ready to take your place among the stars." Allison's voice came through the team's comms, filled with a mixture of excitement and caution. "Ask them about their intentions. Why have they been waiting for us?" Chen relayed the question, and the holographic architect's expression grew sullen. "A great darkness is spreading through the galaxy," it explained. "A force that consumes all in its path. We created this station, and others like it, as sanctuaries and repositories of knowledge. But we are few, and our time is ending. We need new guardians to stand against the coming storm." The implications of the architect's words were staggering. Humanity, barely clinging to survival after the loss of Earth, was being asked to become defenders of the galaxy. "Why us?" Reeves asked, his voice tight with emotion. "We're refugees, not warriors or saviors." The architect's form shifted, showing images of Earth's history, its triumphs and failures, its resilience in the face of adversity. "You have a unique spark," the being said. "A combination of ingenuity, determination, and compassion that sets you apart. With our knowledge and technology, you can become more than you ever imagined." As the team relayed this information back to the Exodus Prime, a heated debate erupted among the ship's leadership. Some saw it as humanity's chance at redemption, a way to ensure their survival and find a new purpose. Others feared it was too much responsibility, or worse, another trap. Allison listened to all sides, the weight of the decision heavy on her shoulders. Finally, she spoke. "We came into space looking for a new home," she said, her voice carrying to both the away team and the crew aboard the ship. "Instead, we found a new purpose. We are the last of Earth, carriers of its legacy. If we can use that legacy to protect others, to fight against this coming darkness, then we have a duty to try." She took a deep breath before continuing. "Tell the architects we accept their offer. We will become the guardians they need." As her words echoed through the station, the holographic architect smiled, its form blazing with renewed energy. "Then let us begin," it said. "There is much to learn and little time." In that moment, the future of humanity was irrevocably changed. The refugees of Earth were about to become the protectors of the galaxy, armed with ancient knowledge and fueled by the indomitable human spirit. As the Exodus Prime docked with the station, its crew ready to embrace their new role, Allison couldn't help but think of those they'd left behind on Earth. They had sacrificed everything to give humanity a chance at survival. Now, that sacrifice would have meaning beyond anything they could have imagined. The journey that had begun in the ashes of Earth was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. And as the first teams of humans entered the architect's station, eager to learn and prepare for the challenges ahead, A new chapter in the story of humanity was about to unfold, one that would be written among the stars. The Great Deception, uncovering a galactic conspiracy. 5 years had passed since humanity's encounter with the architects. The Exodus Prime, now joined by a small fleet of ships constructed using the advanced technology gifted to them, had become a beacon of hope in a troubled galaxy. They had established outposts on several worlds, each one a bastion against the encroaching darkness the architects had warned about. Captain Zara Khalil, once a xenobiologist and now commander of the scout ship Horizon, stood on the bridge of her vessel, gazing at the swirling nebula before her. The ship's sensors probed the colorful gases, searching for signs of the energy anomalies that often heralded the arrival of the mysterious force they had come to call the Void. "Anything on scanners, Ailey?" Zara asked her science officer, a brilliant young man who had been just a child when they left Earth. Eli shook his head, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Nothing yet, Captain, but there's something odd about this nebula. The radiation patterns don't match anything in our database." Zara was about to order a closer look when a priority communication came through from Fleet Command. Dr. Allison Emerson's face appeared on the main screen, her expression grave. "Captain Khalil, we need you to return to Sanctuary immediately," Allison said, referring to the main human settlement that had been established around the architect's station. "We've made a discovery that changes everything." The urgency in Allison's voice was clear, and Zara didn't hesitate. "Understood, Doctor. We're on our way." As the Horizon jumped to FTL, Zara couldn't shake a feeling of unease. In the years since their encounter with the architects, they had faced numerous challenges and made incredible advancements. But there had always been a nagging doubt in the back of her mind, a sense that they didn't have the full picture. Upon reaching Sanctuary, Zara was immediately ushered into a high-security briefing room. She was surprised to see not just Allison, but also Major David Reeves and several other key figures from the human fleet. Allison wasted no time with pleasantries. "What I'm about to tell you is highly classified," she began, her voice tight with tension. 2 days ago, our deep space telemetry picked up a transmission. It was heavily encrypted, but we managed to break the code. It was a message from the architects. Zara leaned forward, her interest piqued. "I thought the architects had gone silent years ago. What did the message say?" Allison's expression darkened. It was a warning, but not about the Void. It was a warning about themselves. A stunned silence fell over the room as Allison activated a holographic display. It showed a series of images: the architect's station, diagrams of human brain patterns, and what appeared to be plans for massive energy weapons. "The architects lied to us," Allison continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're not benevolent guardians. They're the very threat they warned us about." Major Reeves slammed his fist on the table. "I knew it was too good to be true. But why? Why go through all this trouble?" Allison took a deep breath before answering. "According to the message, the architects are a dying race. They spent millennia searching for a species they could inhabit. The technology they gave us, the enhancements we've made to ourselves, it was all to prepare us as suitable hosts for their consciousness. The implications were staggering. Everything they had worked for over the past 5 years, every sacrifice they had made, had been built on a lie." Zara's mind raced, connecting dots she had previously overlooked. "The Void, it's not a threat, is it? It's their victims, other species fighting back." Allison nodded grimly. "We believe so. The architects have done this before, manipulating species after species. But this time their past victims have united against them, and we've been unknowingly fighting on the wrong side." The room erupted into heated discussion, anger and fear palpable in the air. Zara, however, remained quiet, her analytical mind already working on their next move. "What do we do now?" she finally asked, her voice cutting through the chaos. Allison met her gaze, determination burning in her eyes. "We fight back, but we have to be smart about it. The architects have integrated their technology into every aspect of our society. We need to find a way to free ourselves without tipping them off. Major Rees leaned forward, his military mind already formulating strategies. We'll need to form a resistance, operate in absolute secrecy. If the architects realize we know the truth, they might decide to simply wipe us out and start over with another species. Zara nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. My ship, the Horizon, it's one of the few that hasn't been fully upgraded with architect tech. We can use it as a base of operations, stay mobile. Good thinking, Allison agreed. We'll need to reach out to the Void Forces, explain our situation. They might be willing to help us if they understand we've been deceived. As the group began to outline their plans, a chilling realization settled over them. They were about to engage in a war on two fronts, against the godlike beings who had ostensibly saved them, and against their own people who still believed in the architect's lie. Over the next few months, Zara and her crew aboard the Horizon became the linchpin of the human resistance. They made covert contact with the Void Forces, a coalition of species who had suffered at the hands of the architects. The truth was even more horrifying than they had imagined. Countless civilizations had been manipulated, used, and discarded over millions of years. But with each ally they made, with each piece of the puzzle they uncovered, hope began to grow. Humanity had been deceived, yes, but their ingenuity and adaptability, the very qualities that had attracted the architects, now became their greatest weapons. Working in secret, they began to develop countermeasures against the architects' technology. They planted sleeper agents throughout the human fleet, slowly building a network that could act when the time was right. It was a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Every transmission risked detection, every covert meeting could be their last. The architects, seemingly all-knowing and all-powerful, loomed over them like vengeful gods. But as Zara stood on the bridge of the Horizon, looking out at the stars that had once represented hope and now held hidden dangers, she felt a fierce determination. Humanity had survived the fall of Earth, had crossed the gulf between stars, and had rebuilt from nothing. They would not fall victim to this cosmic deception. "Captain," Eli called out, interrupting her thoughts. "We're receiving a transmission from the Resistance on Sanctuary. They say they found a way to neutralize the architect's control systems." Zara allowed herself a small smile. It was time to take the fight to their would-be gods. "Send word to our allies," she ordered, her voice steady and sure. "The next phase begins now." As the Horizon turned towards Sanctuary, Zara knew that the greatest battle in human history was about to unfold. But this time, they would be fighting for their right to determine their own destiny, free from manipulation and deceit. The architects had chosen humanity for their adaptability, their resilience, and their fighting spirit. Now, they would learn firsthand just how formidable those qualities could be when turned against them. The game of cosmic chess was entering its final moves, and humanity was determined to emerge victorious, no matter the cost. Unlikely allies, humans and aliens joined forces against a common enemy. The Horizon dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of a sanctuary system, its stealth systems engaged to avoid detection by the architect's advanced sensors. Captain Zara Khalil stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the massive space station that had once represented hope, but now loomed as a symbol of betrayal. "Status report," she ordered, her voice tense but controlled. Eli, her science officer, responded promptly. "Stealth systems are holding, Captain. No sign that we've been detected. The Coalition fleet is in position, awaiting our signal." Zara nodded, a grim smile playing at the corners of her mouth. The Coalition fleet was a sight she never thought she'd see, ships from a dozen different species, once manipulated by the architects and now united against them. Among them were the crystalline vessels of the Engsafari, the organic high ships of the Scuffle, and even a few human vessels that had defected to their cause. "Open a secure channel to Admiral Krezan," Zara commanded. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of the Void Forces leader. Admiral Krezan was a being of living energy, his form barely contained within a specialized environment suit. His eyes, points of intense light, focused on Zara. "Captain Khalil," the Admiral's voice resonated through the bridge. "Are your people ready?" Zara straightened, meeting the alien leader's gaze. "As ready as we'll ever be, Admiral. Our agents on Sanctuary have confirmed that the neutralization device is in place. Once activated, it should temporarily disable the Architect's control over our technology." Krizan nodded, his form shimmering with what Zara had come to recognize as anticipation. "Then we proceed as planned. May the stars guide us all." As the transmission ended, Zara turned to her crew. Each face showed a mixture of fear and determination. They all knew the stakes, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. "This is it, people," Zara said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "Everything we fought for comes down to the next few hours. We may have been deceived, but now we fight for our freedom, our future, and for every species that has suffered at the hands of the Architects. Let's show them what humanity is truly capable of." A chorus of affirmations met her words. Zara allowed herself a moment of pride in her crew before turning back to the task at hand. "Ailey, send the activation signal to our agents on Sanctuary. It's time to level the playing field." On Sanctuary Station, Dr. Allison Emerson received the signal. With trembling hands, she activated the device that they had spent months developing in secret. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a wave spreading across the station, systems began to flicker and shut down. Alarms blared as the Architect's control programs went offline. In orbit around the station, human ships suddenly found themselves free of the subtle influence that had guided their actions for years. "This is Dr. Emerson to all human forces," Allison broadcast on an open channel. "The Architects have deceived us. They are not our saviors, but our would-be enslavers. Stand down and await further instructions. This is not a drill." Confusion and chaos erupted throughout the human fleet, but years of trust in Allison's leadership held sway, and most ships held their positions, waiting for explanations. Back on the horizon, Zara watched as the Coalition fleet began to move into the system. "All ships, this is Captain Khalil. Commence Operation Sunbreak. Engage Architect forces, but minimize damage to human vessels. They're victims, just as we were." The battle that ensued was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in millennia. The Architects, caught off guard by the sudden rebellion of their chosen people and the appearance of a united Void fleet, scrambled to mount a defense. Massive energy weapons, hidden within the structure of Sanctuary Station, came to life, lashing out at the approaching ships. But the Coalition was prepared. Void ships phased in and out of normal space, avoiding the deadly beams, while others returned fire with weapons specifically designed to counter Architect technology. Human ships, those that had joined the resistance, fought alongside their alien allies. The Horizon darted between larger vessels, its advanced targeting systems, allowing it to take out key Architect defense nodes with surgical precision. But the Architects were far from defeated. As the battle raged, the station itself began to transform. Sections of it peeled away, revealing a massive ship at its core, the true form of the Architect's vessel. By the stars, Eli gasped, staring at the readings on his console. "Captain, the energy output from that ship, it's off the charts. If they bring their main weapons online, they could wipe out the entire fleet." Zara's mind raced, searching for a solution. They had come too far to fail now. Her eyes fell on the swirling nebula at the edge of the system, the same one they had been investigating before this all began. "Ellie, those odd radiation patterns we detected in the nebula, could they disrupt the Architect's energy weapons?" Ellie's eyes widened as he caught on to her plan. "Theoretically, yes, but we'd need to lure them into the nebula and find a way to ignite it." Zara allowed herself a small, fierce grin. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. Helm, plot a course for the nebula. Comms, inform Admiral Krizan of our plan. We're going to need the entire fleet for this." What followed was a deadly game of cat and mouse. The Horizon, along with a group of the fastest ships in the coalition, baited the architect's vessel, drawing it towards the nebula. The massive ship pursued, its weapons tearing through space, but always just missing their nimble targets. As they entered the nebula, visibility dropped to almost zero. Energy discharges from the architect's weapons reacted with the nebula's gases, creating brilliant flashes of light and waves of radiation. "Now," Zara shouted as they reached the heart of the nebula, "all ships, fire everything you've got." A barrage of weapons fire from the coalition fleet ignited the volatile gases of the nebula. A chain reaction spread at incredible speed, engulfing the architect's ship in a sea of fire and energy. The Horizon shuddered as the shockwave hit them, but Zara held on, her eyes fixed on the sensors. For a moment, it seemed as if they had succeeded. The architect's ship was engulfed, its energy readings fluctuating wildly. But then something unexpected happened. As the fires of the nebula died down, the architect's ship remained. Damaged, yes, but still very much a threat. "It's adapting," Eli said, his voice filled with awe and fear. "It's absorbing the energy from the nebula, using it to repair itself." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. They had given it their best shot, and it hadn't been enough. As the architect's ship turned towards them, its weapons powering up for what would surely be a devastating attack, Zara prepared herself for the end. But fate, it seemed, had one more surprise in store. A new signal cut through the comm channels, a signal that made every member of the coalition fleet pause in shock. "This is the Terran Defense Force to all ships in the Sanctuary system. Stand down and prepare to be boarded." Zara's heart nearly stopped. The Terran Defense Force, but that was impossible. Earth had been destroyed years ago. As she watched in disbelief, a massive portal tore open in space. Through it came a fleet of ships unlike anything Zara had ever seen, sleek, powerful, and unmistakably of human design. At their head was a vessel that dwarfed even the architect's ship, and emblazoned on its side, in bold letters that brought tears to Zara's eyes, was a name she never thought she'd see again: Earth. The tide of battle was about to turn once more, and the true fate of humanity was about to be revealed. The final battle. Humanity's ingenuity saves the galaxy. Captain Zara Khalil stood frozen on the bridge of the Horizon, her mind struggling to process the impossible sight before her. The Terran Defense Force, a fleet of ships from an Earth she thought long dead, had arrived, turning the tide of battle in an instant. "This is Admiral Elena Rodriguez of the TDF flagship Nova." A strong, commanding voice came through the comms. "To all human ships, the architects have deceived you. We are here to liberate our lost brothers and sisters. To our alien allies, we stand with you against our common enemy." Zara finally found her voice. "This is Captain Zara Khalil of the Horizon. Admiral Rodriguez, how is this possible? Earth was destroyed." There was a brief pause before the Admiral responded, her voice tinged with both pride and sorrow. "Not destroyed, Captain, hidden. When the architects first attacked Earth, a contingent of our best scientists and military leaders enacted a desperate plan. They used experimental phase shift technology to move the entire planet out of sync with normal space-time." As the Admiral explained, Zara's mind reeled with the implications. Earth had survived, hidden away all this time, preparing and advancing while the architects believed they had wiped out humanity's homeworld. "We've spent years developing technology to counter the architects," Admiral Rodriguez continued. "We couldn't reveal ourselves until we were certain we could make a difference. I'm sorry it took us so long to find you." The reunion was cut short as the architect's ship, having repaired itself using the nebula's energy, began to advance on the combined fleet. "All ships, battle formations," Admiral Rodriguez commanded. "Let's show these would-be gods what humanity and our allies are truly capable of." What followed was a battle that would be remembered for generations to come. The Terran Defense Force brought with them weapons and shields specifically designed to counter architect technology. Void ships phased in and out of reality, striking at weak points identified by human scanners. And at the heart of it all, the Horizon and its crew coordinated the efforts of the ragtag resistance they had built. But the architects were far from defeated. Their massive ship began to split apart, each section becoming a formidable vessel in its own right. It was a hydra, growing 2 heads for every one they managed to defeat. "They're trying to divide our forces," Zara realized, watching the tactical display. "We need to find a way to take them all out at once." It was Eli who provided the spark of inspiration they needed. "Captain, remember how they absorbed energy from the nebula? What if we could overload them?" Zara's eyes lit up as she caught on to his idea. "Admiral Rodriguez," she called out, "we need to pool our resources. Every ship with energy weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. But don't aim at the architects, aim at each other." There was a moment of stunned silence before the Admiral responded. "An energy web. Brilliant, Captain. All ships, you heard the order. Prepare for synchronized fire." As the architects' ships pressed their attack, the combined fleet began to move into position. Human vessels intermingled with alien ships, forming a complex 3-dimensional grid around the enemy. "Now," Zara shouted. In that instant, every ship fired its energy weapons, not at the enemy, but at their allies. Beams of destructive force crisscrossed space, forming a dazzling web of energy. The architects' ships, designed to absorb and repurpose energy, began to draw in the massive power output. At first, it seemed to be working in their favor. The architects' shields grew stronger, their weapons more potent, but Zara and her allies held firm, pouring more and more energy into the web. "Keep it up," Admiral Rodriguez encouraged. "They can't absorb it forever." She was right. As the energy levels continued to rise, the architects' ships began to show signs of strain. Their hulls glowed white-hot, energy arcing between them in wild, uncontrolled bursts. And then, with a flash that momentarily outshone the system's sun, the architects' vessels overloaded. The explosion was spectacular, a burst of light and energy that washed over the Allied fleet. When the glare faded, where once had been the seemingly invincible architects' armada, there was nothing but scattered debris. A stunned silence fell over the comms, broken finally by a whoop of joy from one of the Horizon's crew members. Soon, cheers and cries of victory filled every channel as the reality of their success sank in. Zara allowed herself a moment to bask in the triumph before turning to the tasks ahead. "Admiral Rodriguez, we have a lot of work to do. There are human colonies out there still under architect influence, and I'm sure there's much we can learn from each other." "Agreed, Captain Khalil," the Admiral responded warmly. "I think it's time for a proper family reunion. Set course for Earth. Let's bring our lost children home." As the combined fleet prepared to depart, Zara looked out at the stars, the same stars that had once represented hope, then danger, and now finally a bright future. Humanity had faced extinction, deception, and seemingly insurmountable odds, but they had survived, adapted, and ultimately triumphed. The journey that had begun in the ashes of a fallen Earth had led them here, to a moment of victory, of unity not just with their long-lost kin, but with allies from across the galaxy. As the Horizon jumped to FTL, following the Terran Defense Force back to the Earth they thought they'd lost, Zara knew that the greatest adventure was just beginning. Humanity had reclaimed its home, forged unbreakable bonds with new allies, and proven themselves worthy inheritors of the galaxy. The architects had sought to use humanity's greatest strengths for their own ends, never realizing that those very qualities, adaptability, determination, and the capacity for cooperation, would be their undoing. As Earth grew larger in the viewscreen, a beautiful blue marble that brought tears to the eyes of those who had thought it lost forever, Zara felt a profound sense of homecoming. They had traveled so far, lost so much, but in the end, they had found something greater than they could have ever imagined. The stars, once distant and cold, now beckoned with the promise of new discoveries, new alliances, and a future limited only by their imagination. Humanity, tested by fire and deception, had emerged stronger than ever, ready to take its place as guardians of a free galaxy. And as the first shuttles began their descent to Earth's surface, carrying with them the sons and daughters of humanity who had been born among the stars, Zara knew that this was not an ending, but a beginning. The next chapter in humanity's great adventure was about to unfold, and she could hardly wait to see what wonders and challenges it would bring. The galaxy, vast and full of mysteries, lay before them, and humanity, united and unbowed, was ready to embrace it all.